So I got involved with SPEARiT. I'd gotten out of the Marine Corps and moved to Atlanta. I had a divorce, and that was a huge source of my tough times. And she had moved back to Atlanta, and I got out of the Marine Corps not really wanting to, so I was missing that, and moved to Atlanta. And long story short, wound up back here. Atlanta didn't really pan out, but I came back up here to charter fish and went and fished with Drifter Sport Fishing, KK and Ryan Gleason. And they were like, "You're fishing for us, we do the SPEARiT tournaments." So I signed up to be a boat in the SPEARiT tournament. And then I guess just along the way, got to know Trey a little bit and that whole deal. And I was like, this is kind of a cool thing. And then there's the tight line therapy we do as well. Joe Yeager does as well, is kind of along the same lines. And just getting into like my mindset coming up here to be a fisherman was like, I just catch fish for people or show them how to catch fish, and then realize that like even on a regular fishing trip, the fish catching isn't the biggest part of it. It's human connection and showing them a good time and being a good host and educating. And there's so much more to being a charter captain than just knowing where the fish are. And discovering the SPEARiT and all of the other nonprofits that help veterans was a huge eye-opener to like, there's like a platform here. There's an inn that's specifically for guys and like alpha guys that will defend their emotions and bury all that stuff down. Fishing brings it out, and it's a huge cheat code almost to get people to like open up and fellowship with. So I kind of just stumbled into it. Glad I did. Running the trips, catching the fish. That's like the background behind all of it. But then beyond that, getting people out on the water that need some time away and need some fellowship with vets, having like-minded individuals is huge. Even for me as like the captain, it's not just, you know, these guys need help. Like, it's good for me too. The transition out's tough and it's ongoing. So catching the fish is fun, and that's like first on everybody's mind, but then it kind of evolves into something better. And I just like all of it, really, I guess. I just love the whole deal of everything that's going on, that Trey's got going on, and John Lesnick, and everything they're doing, and anything I can do to help further that is what I want to be doing. I love it, getting on the boat with the vets and everything. It's a good time. They're great captains meetings, just a bunch of people you don't know, but you know like fishing, are in the same spot, and they're all vets for the most part, or boat captains. So everybody in the whole place you've got something in common with, and you just eat good food, walk around, meet your people, talk to them, mingle with a whole bunch of people, see some guys you haven't seen in a while, talk some trash, get some game going for the tournament the next day, and then get out on the water. And it's just like another fishing trip with vets. A great time, come back together, and then, you know, compare your catches. And like, I look forward to them every time. They're great. For me personally, it kind of makes it mean something. I think a lot of veterans have the like, for those I love, I will sacrifice. And so you want to do anything you can for other people, but you forget about yourself. And being plugged into a group of people with the service mentality helps. And like, you want to be good because you're in that group, and you want to maintain yourself at a higher standard because of the group that you're with. And then B, you have guys that are also looking out. Like, if I'm going through a bad time, it's hard to reach out. But like, if I hear about somebody going through a bad time, it's a lot easier to call. And so like, having that coming from like a network of that is incredible. And there's a whole accountability, and I don't know, it means a lot, I guess. But as a captain, I love watching people catch fish, and that's always good. And obviously there's the getting people on fish and showing them a big part of the world and nature and everything that they may not get to see every day. But then getting more into like talking, especially with veterans, it seems like open up quicker, and you have that shared bond, and you get to kind of get into some more sensitive areas and be able to be vulnerable, I guess. So like, it's easier to talk to people that you can relate to more. So I really like having that. It's almost like therapy for me, like being out there and being able to talk to people that need some time and need some conversation, and it makes it easier to get into those topics. And then like, you know, I'm also, you know, in need of talking to people. So it's great to have that mutual place peace that is like easy, nobody around, and some about being on a boat out in the middle of the water, nobody around, like you have some pretty cool conversations. So that's a huge, awesome thing that I've discovered. I got into the fishing for fishing, but then that's not even the biggest part of being out on the boat with people. So yeah. Kelly Grunke with Alpha Wave got me hooked up with a guy that was going through Intrepid SPEARiT, and got him out on the boat. I don't remember his name, Navy SEAL. It was me and him out there, and it was a little bit, like we were cracking on each other, like Marine Corps, Navy, like when's the book coming out kind of stuff. And then kind of got into talking about our time in and relating a bunch of stuff back and forth. And it was a 4-hour trip, and we ended up just being out there for like 6.5 hours because we were both having such a good time. And there wasn't a particular moment of like, this was awesome, but it was just a great feeling to have. Feel like we made a pretty good friendship and ended up being out there way longer than intended, just not even watching the clock, hanging out. And that gives you like a lasting feeling of happiness, I guess. And that was a really good one. The hooks of hope that came from knowing Trey, that found me in a tough spot, helped me out really well. So not only running trips and getting guys on the water, but having the connection if you ever need anything as well. I was in a really tough spot in life, relationship that wasn't healthy, started prioritizing that, trying to make it work, and got kind of away from my friend group. Everybody's like, dude, this is bad. Pushed everybody to the side and isolated myself and tried to make something work that wasn't working, and found myself in a really lonely place and a really bad night. I'm not sure how exactly Trey found out or called me that night or even the day prior. I think it was that night, but he called and he was like, he checked in on me, talked me through some stuff, and then he's like, I'm gonna have this guy, John Lesnick, call you. He runs a similar deal down in Sebastian, Florida, and we're gonna get you hooked up to go down there. And then initially the thought of like what it was and like, oh, fishing in Florida for a weekend and like there's snook and tarpon. Initially I was like, okay, like that might be something. But then also he's like, John called and was talking. We talked for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. And he was like, yeah, it's like special forces guys come down. I was like, well, just to be clear, I'm not in that club. So I showed up and was nervous, and all the guys there were just incredible. Kind of also had the feeling that like I'd never been to anything like that. So I was kind of feeling like, I've got my stuff mostly together, just had a rough patch, and this might be a bunch of guys that are like really, really bad off and kind of like a dragging down feeling. I was nervous about what I was walking into, really. I didn't know if it was gonna be like way more than what I needed, or I didn't know. But showing up and like in the airport, like kind of looking around and like, he looks like he might be one of them. And like, we kind of picked each other out before we actually talked to each other. But I guess long story short, got down there and everybody was just a stud of an individual and like someone to look up to, and everybody got real close real fast, and it was an easy place to be vulnerable and like share everything going on. And great atmosphere, great, like John Lesnick with the Hooks of Hope thing is just incredible. So I got down there, and we had moved the church to Saturday because of storms and fishing trips and everything. And then I think it was Saturday afternoon, after the church service, there was another thing going on, and we were sharing, and then I just kind of like broke a little bit, and all the guys like came around and were very supportive. And then I got saved. Like I accepted God into my heart and everything. And it was like I had grown up in church and done that my whole life, and always seeing my parents praying and going to church and everything. And I was like, I don't quite get it, like, how do you know? And my mom was always like, God will talk to you, God will talk to you. I was like, well, I've never heard him. So then the Marine Corps didn't really help with that. But then there, like, I got saved. The next day I got baptized, and it was really cool. It was in Mosquito Lagoon, one of my dream like red fishing locations. Always wanted to go there. So I got baptized in Mosquito Lagoon with manatees just right over there coming up and rolling. It was really cool. And then the next day was an offshore fishing trip, and I had set my alarm to wake up early, and I like to be up early and do stuff. I woke up before my alarm, and I was like, there's somebody in my room with me. This is weird. So like I got up and I was like looking around, and then suddenly like just in the middle of the room was like he was talking to me for the first time. And so that was like a really big thing. And then all that, and then the offshore trip, and that was really fun. I talked with Kelly a lot more, who turns out lives right here in Sneads Ferry. Got pretty close with him, and then leaving there, they were telling me that everybody was like, get ready, because like you just declared war, and so it's about to be, things are about to get tough, and they were immediately right. I came home into just a firestorm of all kinds of stuff, but kind of had established that network of guys. And then every Wednesday there was do like a morning accountability meeting on Zoom call. Kind of fell out of a little bit with running fishing trips and everything, but now that season's slowing down, be getting back into. It was just a great thing. What I'd been looking for my whole life, it was there. You not only just went to that and it was like, good job guys, we'll see ya. John calls me still. Trey, there for a while, like every morning or 2 or 3 times a week, would message me in the morning and be like, hey man, I hope you're doing okay. Just wanted to check in on you. And like just that simple text is a huge thing to get. And just like the network that came with all, it was a great thing. And then by getting people on the boat, being vulnerable and like encouraging that. And then it's an easy thing. You're fishing, you're not really sit down and we're going to talk about all your problems and God and stuff, but like just on the side of doing something like fishing, where you kind of get into like a flow state and just conversation comes easy, work that in, it's a pretty incredible thing. So yeah, Hooks of Hope was, I can't say enough good things about that. I say this to a lot of my clients. I don't know specifically what it is, but comparing it to all my jobs in the past, the general consensus in the world probably is like, oh, I gotta go to work. And I've noticed with my job, like all my past jobs, people on their worst days, high stress, be it like combat or inspections, or I did construction, you've got deadlines and change orders and all that stuff, and it's always a high stress. People are just closed up and defensive and everything, but when you get out on the water, that's what everybody wants to do, to relax and unwind. And doing that with somebody that knows how to do it well and takes care of everything boat-wise, because boats bring a lot of stress. If you're worried about sandbars and everything, you can just get on a boat, know that the captain knows where everything is, know that if the outboard breaks or blows up, it's not coming out, like everything's taken care of. You're doing the thing that you want to do to unwind anyways. It's just an immediate like, oh, here we go. And then if you can like talk well and or relate to them at all and get conversation going, and being out in nature is also, most people work inside of buildings and don't have the fresh air, the sunlight, the birds flying along the banks, all the mullet. Like it's just a beautiful fresh air, sunshine, everything's taken care of, a little bit of music going in the background, just like a deep breath of fresh air and relax. And I think that just being out in nature is therapeutic by itself. Then you get to take them to all the cool spots and all the cool, like, here's some awesome bird activity and some awesome fish activity. And it's like, this just gets people going, You get everybody on their best days to come all the way back around. Start off and they're like, this is my time to relax and unwind. So I think that definitely kickstarts it. I know for me, whenever I start going through hard times, I have a tendency to isolate myself, not reach out to people, and just kind of like pull it all in and kind of hide a little bit. And I would say that's probably the worst thing you can do. There are so many people around that know about the SPEARiT thing, or just reach out and talk to people. Obviously call Trey. I would say for me, the number one thing, if you know somebody that's going through a tough time, be there for them and push them in Trey's direction. And if you are the person going through a tough time, like, accept that help and don't isolate, because that's when it only gets worse. It's nothing scary. It's actually fun to get help the way that it's set up. So, I don't know how to say it better than that.